This spiky dino is an Ankylosaurus, but why is it in a cave, and how did it get here? These will all be answered in today's adventure. So we start off our adventure here, on the island where all my dinos needed to be taken back home. But how do we do this as efficient as possible? By building a massive cruise raft, of course, capable of carrying all. Upon returning all my dinos to safety, it was time to start my journey. Now my goal today was to get revenge on the cave that had taken Pactor from me, and I planned to do this with firearms. But I was going to need a lot of metal, and who better than the Anki to help me get that? And it just so happened I had found a level 130 on the beach here, but I still needed to acquire the dossier, and so I made a beeline to obtain it. And now here's where an issue occurred. I moved in the real world, and at some point in setting back up, my audio stopped recording. I did my best to re-record some generic audio post-edit to try to compensate, so if things sound off, that's why. I did my best. And so after picking up my kibble and knockout equipment, I made my way back up to knock out that Anki. Once it was knocked out, I put a new mod to use, the Dino Book, which allows you to see exactly what you would need to tame any dino on the Ark. 15 kibble and this guy would be mine. But I still needed a way to transport him, as walking through the mountains would be a death sentence. So I gathered enough materials to make a raft shortly after the tame had finished. So we boarded the raft and traveled to the opposite side of the island, to a small hill covered in metal, which was perfect for his purpose. I set up my starting foundations, and I headed to bed. The next day, Ark updated and completely broke single player. When I was finally let back in, my max FPS was 15. Thinking this was due to the update, I tried to bear through it, awaiting a fix. Just building my forge. But while bringing water up the hill, I hit a pack of raptors. I escaped, but my new raptor wasn't so lucky. So I returned with a heavy weight. I was able to finish the forge and fix the FPS issue. The addition of Xiphactinus and Ceratosaurus were doubling spawns, so simple dino wipe fixed this. And now it was time to get our boomsticks. But atop of the metal requirement, I would need spark powder and charcoal to make the gunpowder, which meant I would need tons of wood, stone, and flint. So overheaded a stego and doed, but on the way an acro decided it wanted to tag along. He got angry when I told him no. And then came the micros. I was stuck, stunned, and praying the acro stayed aggroed on my stego. Try saying that 5 times fast. Once I regained control, I was able to get to the stego with 1 HP, and thus finishing the acro. With a sigh of relief, I spotted a brachy, who ended up getting the upcoming bipedal update early. Honestly, what's this guy doing? I ended up staying and watching for longer than I should have, but ended up leaving him to lead his best life. Back en route, we had one more hurdle, a level 5 Alpha Raptor. My Stego and Doed duo eviscerated it. Once we had returned safely to the forge, I just needed my crafting potion and shotgun BP from the Kibble Hotel. I made my way to the Upper South Cave to grab the galley we had left, and I bolted towards the redwoods. After making the potion, it was finally time to craft. One craft session later, we got an 11%, slightly boosting damage and durability. Now I only needed to find a support dino for this cave. Fun fact, did you know Ankis have one of the highest base damages? And so you could maybe guess who I would be taking along. But we would need a baby in order to get the Anki into the cave, since we don't have cryopods and it's too big to get through the entrance. So a mate was needed. After swiping through a few potential candidates, I headed back to the event island, where the metal structure was gone, but the dinos remained, and that's where we found the perfect match, a level 120. So we knocked her out, tamed her up, and took her home to get down to business. With a couple eggs in hand, I built the staging area at the cave entrance, since building was prohibited inside. I hatched the babies, claimed the best one, and delved into the depths to let him grow up. While waiting, I tried to retrieve Oddball, only to find that he had been overgrown by the roots. I spent some time trying to rescue him, And after another imprint session, I finally found a way into the roots. And after a bit of wiggling, I was able to hit him and grab him. Oddball was saved. With another sigh of relief, I took the Inky deeper in fear it may get stuck at the next passage, and was hit with a kibble requirement. This only being basic, I left to retrieve the kibble, as I knew I already had some. But upon returning kibble in hand, the Inky had been erased from existence. Defeated, I went to bed. Upon returning the next day and collecting a new batch of eggs, I noticed a few things were missing, and after checking, I realized all of my mods had been disabled, and thus meaning all of my materials that I've saved are gone. But I didn't let this major setback stop me. I replaced my windows, hatched up the next batch, grabbed the best one, and headed back in. This time being prepared with everything I needed so I didn't have to leave the cave again. Alright, we have the Inky all grown up. The final stats came out to 65-61 health and 403 melee with a 67% imprint. So hopefully not being able to level this guy before entering this cave won't be an issue. But let's get started. We made our way into the cave, and I began pulling aggro, letting the Inky do its work.
Alright, get in there, bud.
I decided to make a long neck rifle for this adventure, as it would be great for grabbing aggro from a distance. And the shotgun did wonders to anything that got too close.
So, lost 400 health. Yeah, you messed up on that one. I'm just gonna let him take care of this. Was that a level up? So close. Okay, there we go. That's the stuff we're gonna need this this rifle here for.
My Inky was doing a great job blocking most of the creatures. Although we couldn't get too comfortable and let our guard down, as I still took plenty of near fatal hits. But a short distance down the cave, I hit an issue. Another bottleneck, impassable for the Inky. So I took a different approach. I decided we'd go cliff diving and throw my Inky down the pit in the first area. But I'd need to clear the Arthros first, as there were a lot, and their splashback damage could be too much for the Inky. After clearing them, I sent the Inky down. And once he cleared the area, I parachuted down myself. We tag teamed the remaining opposition and hit another wall, although this one was kinda ridiculous.
Are you serious, man? Come on.
Looks like I'd be finishing this alone. After kiting a few creatures back to the opening, of course. Finally, we found ourselves in the center room, full of dinos, cliffs, and water. Being all alone now, I took it slow and made my shots count. Now, the water will be an immediate death sentence, but I had an alternative route. A small opening in the cliff across the water. I just needed a way over to it, but the area was still too dangerous to explore possible paths. Namely from the Sarcos under the water, who almost took me out.
That was a bit close.
So I took him out from a vantage point, but even with the Sarcos gone, we were still held to land by the piranhas. After assessing the area, simply walking to the cliff was not possible, but parachuting across the water might be my ticket, but I'd need enough height to carry me to my destination. My first thought was the tree in the middle of the ruins. But after a very large amount of time of trying to get up and almost dying, I changed my strategy and decided to break it into 2 jumps. The first to the pillar in the center of the water, and the second to the cliff. And although I didn't make it to the cliff, I landed close enough that I could swim and survive.
Oh, come on, climb, 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 climb! Oh, hello there.
Upon climbing the cliff, I met some unruly friends awaiting the top, but disposed of them quickly and carefully made my way down to the artifact. And finally, the cave was completed. Also, I grabbed 2 artifacts while I was here. The otter could carry one, and I didn't want to do this again. And I began my journey out, jumping the water, as much as I could at least, traversing the passages, and finishing off a few dinos I had missed on the way down. And I was finally home free, aside a parasaur blocking the entrance.
How'd you even get in here?
I thought to kill it, but decided to tame it instead. And now we have finally overcome another cave and avenged our best dino. Which if you missed, you can check it out here. And that brings us to the end of the adventure. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, you know what to do down below. And I will see you all next time.